Dana Nesen has just been let go at Lincoln Heritage along with the termination of the Telesales final expense department. Why did this happen? And what reasons could have motivated the elimination of an otherwise seemingly successful program? What I intend to do in this video is give you my perspectives as a final expense telesales free lead agency owner as to why this happened, and to give you just some ideas to consider, which will hopefully give you some perspective on what you should look for in a final expense telesales agency partner. My name is David Duford. I own the Dig Agency. We specialize in final expense remote telesales, providing free leads. Feel free to click the link below to go to my website to learn more about how it works and how to apply. Website's davidduford.com, by the way. Anyway, so what had happened over the weekend is that Dana was let go. Actually happened midweek last week, and gave me some time to consider and ponder the reasons why, and came up with a couple of what I believe are possible reasons why. Of course, I don't understand and know the facts. Was this something from corporate? Was this Adam Hale's decision? Is it some combination thereof? I'll never know, and I'm not pretending to know, but I do think there are some reasons to consider that do impact you, the future telesales agent or a current telesales agent, when it comes to what you should think about in the business in order to be successful. I think there's some interesting things to ponder and therefore some lessons to learn. So first of all on the list here is sales quality. So why would sales quality be an issue here? Well, one of the things that some have wondered is the quality of a telesales sale, something that's done remotely, equivalent to the quality of a face-to-face sale. So originally, before the beginning of COVID, there was not a lot of telesales action. A lot of companies pushed back against the idea of a remote sale because the agent couldn't field underwrite. They couldn't lay hands or eyes on the prospect. They couldn't see that giant oxygen machine in the back. And therefore, if they were sold over the phone, they're more inclined to potentially, the prospect, not tell the truth. So is that the case or not? I don't know. This is only really a question that the carriers can answer if they could differentiate between a telesales and a face-to-face sale, but maybe that possibly is the reason why. Perhaps the persistency wasn't as good as it was in-person sales versus face-to-face. So that is something that could be a potential issue. Some face-to-face people, and this is just them saying it, and there may be a kernel of truth to it, is that a lot of telesales sales get replaced. I personally don't believe that. There just isn't that many more face-to-face agents out there, but a lot of them will attest for sure that it's easier to replace if the agent isn't a field-based agent. So it could be a concern about the quality of the sales. It could be a concern about the ability to actually write good business, because in the insurance business, it's not enough to just write the business. It's a big factor to the carrier to write business that actually sticks and pays and is profitable. So another thing that it could have been is number two, it could be regional politics. And this is kind of an interesting thing with Lincoln Heritage. They're very unique in this regard in that they have a regional distribution system. You have Lincoln Heritage at the top. Then you've got individual agencies like Golden Memorial or Tailored Legacy, which is a downline of Golden Memorial. And they all have their territories and they all have a different way of doing business. And when you have different organizations or different sub-organizations, some potential for drama may follow. There may be a difference in opinion. I'm not suggesting that there is in certainty. I don't know. But perhaps if one organization is recruiting telesales and then maybe another organization unrelated to that sub-agency, somebody wants to work with that company, but they can't because they're in a different region and they don't want to do telesales, they say it doesn't work, so on and so forth, it can cause some sort of potential derision. I was actually in the same position with another company, which will remain nameless, and they had a regional distribution model. I was on my YouTube channel, this is very early on, and I attracted a ton of attention, a ton of interest, but I could only recruit a certain amount. And but the way that I did business was different than many of the other ways, and that caused some sort of consternation, some sort of animosity towards me. And again, I'm not suggesting what happened here, but that could be an issue, right? It's almost like a niche-based issue. What are you as a company? Are you telesales? Are you face-to-face? If you're going to stick with the regional-based model, maybe the way in which you sell has to be better off to be homogeneous, the same across the board, than having different variations, which may cause potentially issues to happen. Another thing that I've been thinking about too with this new FTC one-to-one consent coming up is the lead compliance angle here. And a lot of this, again, I don't know how Lincoln operates and how the free lead program operated over there. But then again, if you're using leads that don't have the proper consent, and let's say a large volume of your business is derived from that style of lead, then you may be facing a compliance crisis that could go all the way up to the top of the food chain. And corporate may not like the idea of a company calling leads when the compliance changes and it cannot be matched. There's obviously ways around that. You do the self-generation of leads yourself. You keep it internally. You do the proper compliance. But there could be just the inability based off of the current system and the paradigm to make that work. So that may have been a concern. This one-to-one consent rule that the FTC is probably going to pass here at the end of the month and go into effect. There's some going-ons in some courts where there's a question about to what effect it will go past. Will have a huge impact. We saw this from the company named after, starts with an F. They ended up completely jettisoning their garbage data lead system because it was going to be completely illegal, and then lowering their commission levels about approximately a year ago when this was first announced, I would imagine, because of this. So there's been some shakeups with that. That could be contributed to that. Who knows for sure. The other thing I want to put on here too is that, it could be something of a niche thing. And so what do I mean by this? You as a company, maybe you don't want to go to telesales. You had a taste of telesales and maybe for the aforementioned reasons decided it wasn't good. And you want to keep some level of homogeneity, big word, sorry, some likeness between everything, and keep the style in which you sell synonymous across the board. I don't know for sure if it's a big deal that one organization is doing telesales and nobody else isn't. Again, kind of referencing the earlier part. So maybe Lincoln Heritage made a decision that it's just better for the company and the style of business written that it stays the traditional way that they're comfortable and that they know well, which is the traditional face-to-face method of selling in person, seeing the people, field underwriting the clients, and writing them the old-fashioned way, which is a completely legitimate reason if that's the case. Don't know if it is or not. I remember reading about an insurance company that Berkshire Hathaway owns, and Warren Buffett has a talk on YouTube about it somewhere. It's interesting, and how they eschewed growth. They could have grown if they had deviated from their known underwriting standards, but instead stuck with what they know, grew at a slight rate over time, but didn't have the upheavals that we've seen in the final expense market with carriers getting in because they think there's opportunity, but poorly understanding the landscape, and then exiting within 5 years because they took on all this bad business that they totally underpriced as far as the cost to insure, and have suffered losses significantly because of it. So it could be something like that, which is an intelligent idea if that's the case, is just stick with what you know and work at doing better than that. And I think that's an important lesson for all of us is, know the extent of the limitations of your understanding and knowledge and working within that. It doesn't mean you shouldn't go outside your comfort zone, but like Warren Buffett says, is understand where your understanding ends, so you don't make mistakes that could affect your shareholders, the company, et cetera. The last thing on here that it very well could be this, and it may be surprising to some people out there, is that it's just too expensive. Okay, running a telesales free lead program is more expensive, I think, than many people presume it is. Let me explain why. In the telesales market, you have to develop the CRM. You have to have a retention team. You have to pay people bonuses, commissions, etc. You have to pay for the marketing, okay? You have to pay for chargebacks. You have to carry the costs of the operation. Whereas in the broker world, the individual agent does that. And so what ends up happening, that it's crucial as the upline that you have enough spread between you at the top and the organization expense, the cost of operations, in order to break even and then profit on the back end, usually through renewals, which is the strategy for most free lead organizations. And maybe that just didn't exist. I don't know the structure of the Lincoln Heritage Commission contract. But I believe, as I've learned running a free lead organization, is that you have to have carriers that have billing down right, that pay correctly, that have enough spread to finance the operation on the front end. Because our goal as the free lead organization is to at least make profit at a bare minimum on the years 2 through 10 renewal stream. That's where the idea is, at least with most intelligently designed commission structure. So that may not have existed. The money just might not be worth it to running the operations as they are in order to make this a viable opportunity. So it may not even be an issue possibly with Lincoln. It could be an issue with the way it was set up. If it's not structurally set up correct, then it just doesn't make sense. You run business and don't make money off of it. And you might as well just do nothing, have some more leisure time if you're just going to break even or lose money. Kind of an idea to take. So what are the takeaways here? These kind of interesting things to ponder. But as for you, the agent, what's some things that you should be considering? Number one, partner with telesales-focused agencies and carriers. Obviously, that's going to be the response here. I would suggest looking at, and this isn't an opinion or a critique at all of Lincoln or Dana or Adam or any of the crew over there. I just can't stress enough that work with a company that understands telesales, that understands the structure of a free lead system. There's going to be a lot more free lead organizations out there, and it's vital that you partner with organizations that have experience in operations and running things correctly, financially the right way, and being structured correct. Again, just an observation, not necessarily a condemnation at all of what has happened with Lincoln and all parties involved. Number two on the list here is understand that new lead compliance rules and ensure your agency follows them. So if you do join a free lead agency, ensure that the compliance rules are in place. Again, one of the things that we do at the DIG agency that has protected us dramatically from these new rules is we refuse to use the common data leads that basically the vast majority of free lead organizations use. They all use them. They still will use them. We never did that because we wanted to own our leads. We wanted to be the people responsible for contacting them. And before we even got into this endeavor and the FTC rules came down, we were already doing this. And so we were in this position to where we were able to, even with FTC rulings, is these leads consented to the DIG agency and its associates to contact them. So we don't have the one-to-one consent rule issues that mainly other free lead organizations have. So it's imperative that you understand how the leads are generated. You don't have to know exactly what the leads say or how they, all that stuff, but you want to know that the consent has flowed from the origination of the leads internally. And that's going to protect you and protect the organization so that the organization survives into this new environment that we're going into. And the last thing here, of course, is to develop and understand that retention is really important. Again, in the creation of a free lead agency, it's not what you write, it's what you keep. Persistency is vitally important. It's true if you're buying your own leads too. And you want to make sure you've got a retention team taking care of things. You want to make sure that the business is written the right way, so your scripting is done correctly, so that the policy not just it goes in effect, but it stays on the books. The policy that pays is the policy that stays, okay? So that way persistency, the ability to keep the business on the books for the first year and beyond is at its highest point possible. So long story short, while I don't understand exactly the reasons why such an incredible program like Dana created was terminated along with the telesales team, it's important that you guys understand the business and how it works. I wish Dana the best. I think she'll be just fine. There's plenty of organizations that would love to have her experience and capability. And, it is what it is. That's how the thing is sometimes with carriers, and they make decisions and changes. You've got to be like Madonna and change with the times, as they say. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this training. DavidDufour.com. If you want more information, click the link below. We recruit agents to sell over the phone, remotely from home, using free leads, and would love to have you learn more by going to the link below or DavidDufour.com. Take care.